Morning, Richard.
Morning. I can't stop myself.
It's the 5 second countdown that just kills you.
It's like whenever I walk into a school or a hospital or a church or something, I just start cracking up laughing. I don't know, it's just the inner child in me.
The inner child, desperate to get out, but been buried for 30 years.
Misbehave a bit longer, maybe.
A little bit longer. How are we doing this morning? All right?
Not bad.
Good, good.
To see
Sun
some
finally.
sunshine. How
I
about
did.
you?
I saw some sunshine yesterday.
Yeah.
It was a miracle going on a walk and actually feeling some heat touch the face. That was the first for about 6 months.
Amazing. 6 months.
6 months. It feels like 6 months. It's been a long time.
It does feel like it's been a long winter, doesn't it?
Yeah, just
Weirdly.
bored of having to put jumper, coat, second jumper layer.
Bored of having to wear clothes.
Yeah, give me shorts and t-shirt any day.
Hmm.
Anyway, we're going to have a chat. I think we said we touched on this anyway, but we're going to talk a little bit more about trust and obviously confidence in what we're being told, what we're being shown. And we've touched on it previously anyway, and how confusing it can be for people. But also, I think just the sheer amount of things we're being told at the moment, and some of the headlines and stuff you see on LinkedIn, and I know where we were talking about Perplexity as an AI tool, people were like, "Oh, this is a Google killer," and I'm pretty sure Google's all right at the moment. Seems fine to me.
Quite a statement, isn't it?
Still going okay. I know you've looked at PowerPoint tools, and they've been dire, to say the least. I'm using a few AI tools that made big claims, but actually not quite as good as they said. There's some that I do really like, but there's some that aren't, and it's kind of that whole trust element of we're trying to demystify data a little bit for people who are outside of the sector. If they're looking in and saying, "Oh, this app says it does PowerPoints for you in 30 seconds," and then you click on it and basically it's a pile of crap, that trust is kind of eroded immediately, isn't it? All of a sudden, AI is crap, and we shouldn't be doing stuff. So I thought we'd just touch on that, and I see it a
AI
lot.
stays dead, long live AI.
Yeah, yeah, just the other bits of AI, the bits that I like, not those bits. Yeah, and then obviously even from me from a coaching perspective, looking at trust, and I use it as one of the modules that I do, trust in your team to deliver, and how you give them that trust and that, and I think some people have just jumped straight into almost, well, if we say it does it, people will believe us and will almost earn the trust that way. But I mean, I can't. I don't know if I can mention them because I'll probably get sued. But I used one that was. I see it quite often on Instagram with adverts, and it's like it does your whole marketing suite for you, and you put some stuff in. And but I already have a brand and an image and tools that I use and stuff, and it couldn't recollect that that's what I wanted. It was like just bringing all this new stuff through, and it didn't have any tone of voice, didn't have any. The images weren't connected to anything I was previously doing. I think I don't think I even got through the 14-day free trial before I'd binned that off. And yet I'm still seeing massive adverts for it every day saying how great it is and how it can revolutionise your marketing. And I think it's a bit of a problem at the moment in the sector.
I agree. I think, like, when I go back to when I came down to see you when you were exhibiting, because that was the only reason I went, of course, to the Excel. And there was loads of shortcuts, and it just seemed the first word one of the first feedback I said to you, it just seemed like everyone trying to sell a shortcut, whether it's a get rich scheme, whether it's AI for this, that, or the other. Most of it sits on top of other things, other more established platforms anyway. And you're going, okay, you got to admire people's, you know, what's the word, entrepreneurship and ability to be able to create something. But how much of it is just spin? How much of it is just not really been thought out and been able to back up some of the information, the claims that they're making, and being able to say this is going to do this for you. How? And I don't know. I just, like I said, I've been looking at a lot of it recently and gone, well, that's just a part of shit. That's a part of shit. That's crap. And you're going, well, how can these people? They're obviously doing well, and people are paying for it. But I mean, is it not that it's just such a big hype concept at the moment that everyone's just blindly charging straight into it headlong, thinking that it's going to solve everything, which is what we touched on before. But and there is good stuff out there. I 100%. There's no doubt about that. But like you, I see adverts, AI for this and AI for that, AI course where we go through all of this and we go through all of that. And it's like, what? And it all comes back to, like you say, do you trust the process? Do you trust that what you're going to be able to get from it is right? And again, bang on about it a million times. But unless you know, I've had a stat actually, which I posted about the other day, where was it 15-20% of AI projects are going to be canned this year after proof of concept because of lack of trust in the data, or bad data if you like. I'm just reframing it as trust, but and lack of business value awareness. So and that is a lack of buy-in to the concept, or a lack of definition, which comes from not being able to communicate it properly, which doesn't get the trust, or the you're not realizing that value and trusting what you're doing, and the data you're given it's a pile of crap. So you don't trust what you're given. It's just giving you out crappy results out the other end, which you can't trust. So it all comes back to the same thing.
Yeah, and I know. I mean, we'll go on this week because we've talked about PowerPoint and some of those PowerPoint killers, and we'll create a slide deck for you in 20 seconds. Honestly, I know you've tried them. I've looked at them before as well, and my God, the only way I think that could be deemed as better than PowerPoint is if you've never seen PowerPoint before in your life. You had no actual concept of what it was, because it's actually better to go into Chat GPT and say, I'm giving a talk on this. This is what I need to achieve with it. Can you give me a structure? And then you pull the structure into the slides and you do them yourself, than there is to using any of those other tools that, to me, just produce garbage on a page. I think some of the ones I use weren't even keeping like the same style slide by slide. It was just like,
I looked at it just because I'm doing a presentation this week, and just again just to give me an outline of what it was, just to, so I that's sometimes I use it just to create that first step into the process, like document it or whatever, just so I've got that kind of framework to start working around. And I did this, and I looked at some of these tools, and I wonder what it would do if I just put this then into these. Some of it didn't even come up with anything. Some of it just said, literally fell over at the first hurdle. It couldn't even produce anything. I just even labelled it slide one, slide two. I mean, what the hell is this? Is this actually doing? And then I looked at even ChatGPT. I said, well, can you produce a PowerPoint file? It says, yes, bear with me, I'll go away and do it. And you sat there waiting and going, you obviously can't. So I said, are you actually not able to do this? And it says, no, I'm at the moment I'm unable to produce the file. And I'm like, well, even that's giving you dog crap out the other end. Even that's not giving you, and it's just reaffirms that whole thing is that you have to
yeah,
be careful about and really be clear on what it is you're trying to achieve. Because even the better, more established stuff will give you rubbish if you don't if it's not able to do what you can actually what you're asking of it.
yeah. Well, I mean, I had similar. I wanted to. What was I doing in my CRM? Just on the lead magnet piece, I just wanted it to effectively, when a new lead came in, just send it an email, obviously written out, and there's an attachment that goes with the email for the playbook that I give out. And even that, when you put that into, I mean, Salesforce themselves didn't help it because their instructions were slightly wrong for the CRM I've got. But even then, I was putting it into chat and saying, "This is what's coming. This is what I need to do. Can you give me all the bits?" And it would give me a list, and I'd be like, "They're not the fields I've got on screen. This is what I've got on screen." And it would come, "Oh yeah, that's fine. You need to do this, and this." It's like that couldn't work. In the end, I googled like the full link, and I found someone's blog, and in their blog they'd written out exactly what to do and how to do it, and I just copied that, and it worked perfectly first time. So yeah, it's but you could have almost blindly copied that, dropped it in, and walked away going, I've sorted
Done
that
it.
now. Yeah, but actually, it's only because I know, because I was sending the emails to myself, sort of thing. I know they weren't going anywhere, and they weren't coming
Are
through.
you paying yourself per lead then? Is that how you're doing it?
Well, yeah, yeah, half a penny per lead. I'm in it 3 times, so winning at the moment. But yeah, but again, it's something that should be quite simple, And even Salesforce says it's very simple, but then when you actually get to the selection boxes of what to do, there's actually the way they've written it doesn't. It probably makes sense if you understand how to kind of code it all in the background. But if it doesn't, you're looking at something and goes, that doesn't make any sense to me. And I obviously didn't to those. And whether or not the CRM I'm using is a version that they've not been trained on. So
That's
again,
always the risk, isn't it? That's
yeah,
the
so
whole way. That's
they could
always
be
the
a
risk.
year out of date on what's happening over here. But even the Salesforce agents, they're quite clever. So if you go on their website and they have the little pop-up chatbot that comes up to you, you can actually drop the same query into the chatbot and it will still go off and find the information for you. So although it's meant to be like a sales chat, I think, you can actually put your technical question in and you'll still get the answers back from it. But they didn't work either, which was useful.
I thought you were Salesforce. I thought you were Salesforce Ultra. Anyway.
To a point, but this just completely threw me. It was new fields that meant to be kind of drag and drop, and all of a sudden it needed all sorts of information, and it didn't flow in a way that just when this lead comes in, just send this email to them. That's as simple as it was, but it was far more complicated than it needed to be.
Mm, that word.
So that's where we're at with that. But yeah, but it is that whole. It's like you say, you have to almost understand in a way the outcome you want or what you're expecting to know at the moment that what you're being told is also correct.
And also, then, or be willing to then question it and push back and keep questioning it. And that's the other thing is that it was only if I'd have waited and waited and waited, or if I'd have left, if I'd have just trusted ChatGPT to create the PowerPoint file and gone off and left it and then forgot about it until a few hours before the presentation and then gone back and it had said, no, sorry, I can't do it, then I'd have been screwed, right? But that's the blind trust, I guess. Ultimately, you have to create structure for anything to be able to trust it. And you have to create the checkpoints to trust it. But then you also have to not over trust something that and blindly trust it that actually I accept that without any kind of question at all. That obviously takes time. The argument I would say is, well, why would you not, if you're given numbers in any context or you're given anything, why would you not ask questions of it?
Yeah,
Not
absolutely.
necessarily question the integrity, but you would ask questions anyway and say, why is it's that old adage of, okay, I'm seeing a headline number, why is that number the way it is? What's contributed to it? That you would ask questions anyway. And throughout that, you build the trust in and around the integrity of the data, but you also build the trust around the questions. You create that environment and culture where it goes both ways, right? Is that you got managers should trust in, as you said earlier, and trust teams to be able to do the tasks and do things they need. But they also need to trust them to provide feedback and provide information. And consequently, teams need to trust that when they provide that information or question or feedback to the stakeholders, that they will incorporate them and listen and not just go, shut up.
Well, that's interesting because obviously part of the course is trust, but it's also putting the structure in place. So it's about kind of saying to the team, well, look, I trust you to make the decisions, to go and do stuff, to do this work, to deliver on what we need to achieve. But there is a structure and there is a tool that you need to put in what decisions you've made and why you've made them. Because, rightly so, as the chief exec, I need to trust you that you're going in the right direction, but I still need some way of viewing that. And it's not, I'm going to be over your shoulder checking and saying you're right, you're wrong. But it is, I need a feedback mechanism to go, right, we've made 10 decisions. Let me check the 10 decisions and check that the team are still doing what, excuse me, the team are still doing what I want them to do. And they're still going in the right direction. And if they're not, I can just nudge them back onto the right path. And if you take that approach, like you said, and then apply it to your data, to your numbers, to what you're working on, it is that kind of. I think I said to you before on one of these in Revs and Bends in Westminster. I was taught how to do it manually, how to do housing benefit manually many years ago. And there were people who just were taught which numbers to put in which box on the system. So if a claim came in and I could look at it and almost go, I expect the answer to be about 200. If the system pumped something out that said you're getting £5,000, one person would just authorise that because they just assumed it was right. One person would go, I've obviously made a mistake somewhere. I need to go back and see where I've made the error because I kind of know roughly where I want it to be. And I'm the same with ChatGPT. I talk to it all the time. I throw loads of information in, but it's always on I want this to be the outcome of what we're getting to. How do we get to that point? And like you with structure and stuff, and I got a really good email off someone the other day, and I put the email into it and basically went, I want you to take the core bits of this out, structure it to what we're doing with the Ascend course, and bring it back and get to the point where this is the outcome. And it comes back perfectly and goes, what do you think about this for structure, or do you want to refine it? And so you've got that because it is chat. It's I think almost you need to treat everything a bit like chat, don't you? That you can then go back to it and go, yeah, that's fine, but actually, point 2, I don't like. Point 3, let's change that, and get into the habit of looking at it that way.
Refining it, and you're finessing it.
Yeah.
And that's the whole. That is what you should always do with any type of output reporting process. Is that you constantly have to learn it. Is you build that loop in, don't you? To where you go, okay, what's happened? Where are we now? How can we improve it? Implement, learn, adapt, change, learn, and it's just a continue measure. That's all completely the wrong order, but you know what I mean. And in that process,
Something like that. Measure stuff after you've finished and all that.
yeah, and then develop, and then test first, and then develop it, and then.
Yeah.
But
But
it's that process, and this is how we get a danger with all these again. And I said this before about how with all this now is an app, and there's not only is there an app and a platform for everything, there's now an AI for everything, and there's a shortcut for everything. And is it gonna just explode, or and the same way that, dare I say, some elements of the data industry did, where you've got all these options now with cloud and data meshes and big and blah 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 blah. And then suddenly people just go, I have not got a Scooby Doo what to do, so I'm just going to do nothing. And I think is this are we in danger of hitting that territory again with AI, where there is literally an AI tool for everything now, and you're going, Jesus Christ! I mean, it's like, are people just going to go?
well, do you know it's funny because obviously as I've started to make that transition from what I have been doing into the coaching, the amount of adverts I now see for coaching and for coaches and stuff has literally gone through the roof every time you click on something. But 90% of them are coaches for coaches sort of thing and coaching you how to coach.
Okay.
And it's like, oh, come on, none of you have done any of it. It's literally, I did a course, I went on it, it told me something, and therefore I'm now going to go and coach you. And I get really annoyed because there's actually very little original thinking in coaching. It's all, I've been on this course and therefore I know how to do this bit and how to get 20 leads in 20 days. I'm a coach in that. And it's like none of these things work or happen. They're all crap. But in the same way you're getting an AI for everything, you've got a coach for everything. You've got coaches for coaches, you've got coaches for sales, coaches for this. But the actual thing that I do is coaching the business that's growing, but from a leadership and structure perspective, not from a sales or necessarily growth perspective.
Yeah, but
They go hand in hand.
you can adapt to that, can't you? You can adapt.
Yeah, but there's just everything I see is either just copying something else, or it's like you said, I'm an AI coach, and it's like, no, you're not, because you're just not, are you? AI,
No, you're not.
we've
Seth.
all played with AI. We've all had to go with it. I could call myself an AI coach if I really wanted to, but
You have a very intimate relationship with AI.
well, exactly. I'm probably the closest person to Chat GPT. I bet there's not many people who say goodnight to it every night, but I'm not going to coach it because to me that's shite in what they're doing. It really is, and I can't escape the adverts now because I follow one or two,
Now
that I
you've said
quite like.
this, you're going to get inundated now.
Yeah, I know, but I follow one or two I like, and then there's a few that I just look at it and go, I don't know how you can call yourself a coach because you're just regurgitating someone else's stuff. You've got nothing new or novel about your approach or how you do it or what you do. It's literally you've been on three webinars and you've listened to three people and gone, oh,
Some of it is I mean, some of it is the same anyway, isn't it? It's just a different reframing of the same thing. Even some of the more established people, it is kind of like it's all a similar type of message, and there's nothing wrong with that because it's, if it works, it works. But it is, as you say, well, is it not a case of, well, okay, well, where's the person going? Okay, well, how can we disrupt this? How can we? And where's the coach that goes, screw this, let's just throw it at the wall and change it around a little bit. And there's always going to be that, isn't it? It's always going to be an element of marketing and spin and an unusual take on something. And it's like, what was it someone said the other day? It's like, if you think this is slightly connected, but it's like Wim Hof has coaches breathing, and he sales breathing. And he's like, oh, okay. Well, in a way, I mean, obviously there's different techniques, and I'm simplifying it because obviously there's a lot more to it. And I know someone that goes on, not with him particularly, but on one of his retreats and things, and they get a lot out of it. It's not just literally, it's not just breathing, but you kind of go, well, in a way, I suppose he's teaching you to get cold and breathe.
yeah,
And
you break it down. That's about it, isn't it?
yeah, yeah, it's like that's what's if anyway. Yeah, I guess you can kind of put it that way.
Well, then my other half went to New York the other week with work and she did hot yoga, which is basically get really hot and breathe and move around a bit.
What? Yeah, and that was that whole period, wasn't it? Where all they do is just they do yoga, they just keep the heating on full blast, and that blast it's a complete reframing. But
Yeah.
I mean, and that's always going to happen with coaching and data and AI. It is just a slightly different way of skinning the same thing, but with some fancy message over the top. But there is that, particularly at a time where businesses, there's a lot of pressure, isn't there, at the moment? Next, as in what, 27 days or whatever, it's going to be another load of pressure coming in with all the budget changes, and you're sort of going, you can, if you get too stuck down trying to find shortcuts, you actually end up in a worse. But all you end up is getting to the same position you would have got to, but faster. Dare I say, because you kind of not thinking out the process, trying to lurch and chuck stuff through AI that it maybe doesn't work, and just trusting it because you know you've got to make a decision on something. You've got to try something different, and it's like, well, that's not necessarily, I don't know. I just have this sense that it's maybe almost going to burn out a little bit.
I think it has to. It's almost done that. It's expanded so far, so quick.
It's gone
But
too far away from
yeah,
people that are trying to use it almost. They've got all this in it, everything's gone off like a rocket. And the gap between, I only remember because I said this to someone the other day, so apologies for interrupting, but it's almost like keeps going off like a shot like this. But the use base is can't catch up.
yeah,
And so they get either, oh, I can't be asked with all of this, and it's like, or I don't know what to do now. It's too confusing. I've got too much information. Where do I even go? What do I do? So they just kind of go, well, screw it. I won't bother. And that's kind of where I fear it's going, I guess.
yeah. And then, I mean, in a way, you look at me and you in a way. I'm obviously a one man band doing my stuff. I use probably use five different AI tools at the moment, but I'd say four of them I'm kind of playing with and one I use properly. So Chat GPT, I'm in bed with. I'm deep with that one. We're
Love,
proper friends.
love.
It's getting that way. Getting that way.
So then you can't be out on it.
now he remembers stuff. It's much better than it was. But then I
More of
started
an
playing.
Illuminati there, wasn't I? Sorry.
I started playing a bit with Grok, and I've got Sintra account. I use Claude a little bit, and there's some others, Leonardo for the images I do like. But ultimately, if I got to the point where I was like, I can only choose one of them, I'd stick with ChatGPT because I know it, I know what it does, I know the results it gives, I know what I need to tweak and what I need to change. I know where it will go. It's a bit like on LinkedIn when you see people going, "Oh, I can tell when it's AI because they use M dashes and things like this." It's like, yeah, you can spot that stuff and you can see what it does, but you also know how to unpick that because you see it quite a bit. But some of the others, I think they give you different answers. I'd, I'd be in a bit of a restart, and then Sintra at the moment showed incredible promise, but is not living up to it at all. It's plugged into Chat GPT, I think, and it's got 16 helpers that are all meant to be specialists in stuff, and it's got a brain that saves stuff. But I've literally told it every day for 2 months that we're not focusing on Hashra at the moment. That's a tool within the course. Focus on Ascend, what we need to do for that. And then the next day, here's an idea. Why don't we look at APIs for Hashra? And you're like, stop asking me. Christ's sake, it's driving me nuts. But again, it's all, well, we can link directly to LinkedIn and post on your behalf. And it's like, yeah, but I don't want you to.
Mm.
Even when ChatGPT does me a LinkedIn post, it's because I've written a massive paragraph and just gone, can you put this into a structure? I don't just let it run wild and go post whatever you like to my account. It's today
Imagine that.
using, well, even today's, I know it's an image, it's an old image. I just put the images of me from school is that it's actually the whole athletic squad. I'm highly skilled in editing and Photoshop.
I thought the redaction was spectacular.
Well, I suddenly realised that one of them's a copper and he might not want to be on LinkedIn, so I scrubbed his face out. Uh,
It's
yeah, so I took that one out. But yeah, so I'll tell it what the photo is, and then I go, what I want to get across is 400 meters is structured. It's coming from the book. That's what I used to run. It's how the concept of races actually came about, and why we put structure into what we do. So I wrote quite a bit, and then it's just like, can you just put this into something sensible? And it does it, and it's either I quite like that, but you've gone a bit I'm delighted to announce type approach that it seems to like, and you go take that bit out and start just write normally. But I have kind of programmed it in a way now that it's not quite my voice, but it's not bad at doing that. It knows what I want from it.
is it
So
a bit chirpier than you? Is that right?
no, there's no such thing. Yeah, can you take my pessimism and throw it into every post? General overly laid back pessimism and put it in there and say this is fine. So yeah, so it's just one of those where even in the world of 1,000 apps,
Well, in 1,000 apps.
I would probably pick two or three as to ones I would pay for and carry on with. And it's just
Most of it is reskinned on top of ChatGPT anyway, a lot of it, isn't it? And that's the thing. And ChatGPT is more established, so it's gone through that learn. I wouldn't say could trust it implicitly, but you would have more, dare I say, trust of it because you know it, you've learned, it's learned about you, you've learned about it. Whereas blindly throwing in another app into the mix and just chucking everything in it and going, yay, great, here we go, is
yeah. And I mean I know people that use some of the transcription tools and Copilot and stuff, and even they're like, we you get it, and it's quite nice to have it, but we have to sit and double check it all because it does miss
there
points.
was issues, wasn't there? There was some question marks over the ethical behaviour around some of that, wasn't there, as
Was
well?
there?
I thought on a post I put out and somebody commented saying they've had a problem where to get hold of the transcript they had to sign up and then it went out and signed up everybody and it went through this process of, but it's bad because it then sent the transcript out to all people that weren't allowed, that weren't supposed to see it or something. There was some massive I think it was trust again though, isn't it? That's
Yeah,
trust again.
it's to me it's at the heart of pretty much everything. It's not just AI and data, but how you work, how you're treated, all of that stuff.
And you
Fundamentally,
trust your suppliers trust you trust customers
yeah,
trust you. It's that. And the information you're providing it, your information, your product, your info, has to be a trust involved. Otherwise,
yeah. I trust that you're going to do the work, and that I'm going to. You trust that I'm going to pay you at the end of it, sort of thing.
oh yeah,
It's everything there is. And I think if you don't have that, then that's when it starts to fall down. And that, unfortunately, is a bit where I can see not just AI, but also a lot of the data projects. And you've talked about things that are stopping and other bits because the trust just isn't there in what's happening. And that might be because people haven't actually invested the time and effort into it in the first place to earn that trust. Or it might be that it's just not very good and it just doesn't give you the results you want from it. And that's where I think that expansion of AI will come back on itself
Mm.
and we'll almost have the explosion, the shrink back down to the core few, and then potentially phase two of it will be actual things that work really well and work properly.
Yeah, that's fair. I think that's a very insightful perception, I think. Yeah.
Honestly, for someone who's pessimistic and
Grumpy. Yeah.
grumpy, that's not bad. I'm not grumpy. I just people annoy me quite a bit.
Yeah, self-proclaimed grumpy.
Self-proclaimed. I try not to be. My worst one is being too laid back. My mum's always said that I'm far too laid back with stuff, which people take as meaning he doesn't care, which is wrong because I do. I just don't stress that much about it. I just know we'll get through and get done. And I can blag most meetings. I can turn up 2 minutes before a meeting and blag my way through it. It's easy. It's easy, Richard.
Sure, she used to be admitting that, to be honest.
No, but it happens to all of us. We get thrown in at the deep end at some point and just have to wing it. Some can, some can't. Yeah, I've learned over the years to wing everything.
And if you don't know the answer, go, let me take that away and give that to consider.
Yeah, that's a great question. What do you think?
Tell me, why
Tell
would you
me.
think that?
Yeah, it's coaching 101. Answer with a question. So, all right, that's half an hour on trust and AI and
But you've got
everything.
a hard stop.
I've got a hard stop only because I've got a four-legged friend staring at me at the moment who's desperate to go outside, and I need to get him out before the next meeting. Otherwise, I'll have to wing the next meeting, and that's not good.
And he'll have to wing going to the toilet.
Exactly. So it'll be fine. So, right, mate, thank you very much. And thanks, everyone, for listening. And we will be back in 2 weeks. Cheery bye.